Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to look at what the papers are reporting. Let's start off with the Nation newspaper with the banner headline, Federal Government not going back on tax law from January the 1st. Gains of Tinubu's administration by Information Minister Ahmed Idris. Next is the Vanguard newspaper. We didn't alter tax laws, that's according to the federal government, adds its National Assembly affair. What we didn't pass can't become law. That's according to lawmakers and senators. Reps sit today over controversial alterations, among others. Next is the Blueprint newspaper. Nigeria will be secure, competitive, prosperous in 2026. Federal government says 2026 budget will deepen reforms, protect lives, declares kidnappers, bandits as terrorists. Nigeria News Direct. Federal government officially designates kidnappers, bandits as terrorists, as minister insists diplomatic spat with USA is resolved. I thought as much. Now the Punch newspaper is next. Autonomy battle. Local governments demand direct funds as states receive 7.43 trillion naira. Local governments allocation surged by 42% in 2025, 18 months after federal government fails to implement Supreme Court judgment. Next is This Nigeria. Federal government makes drug tests mandatory for jobs. Policy targets substance abuse, raises civil service integrity questions. And the Platform Times. Not drug test, no jobs. Federal government tightens public service recruitment. Leadership newspaper is next. What Tinubu's 2027 spending plan means for households, SMEs, among others. And then the Guardian newspaper, real estate, investors wary as demolitions flatten over 2,500 houses. Sad to see. And the Sport Alive, which is the last, cement roars. Super Eagles not finished, says we'll still have it in us. Okay, that's a good way to come back after someone has said Super Eagles was finished. But then let's get on to brass tacks. I'll be doing this with Olamide, Ria, and Edida, in-house analyst. Be able to show me. Olamide, let me start off with you. We talked about the federal government and the National Assembly's forth and back over what had been done to the tax laws. The federal government is saying no. If you look at the Vanguard as well, it's saying that we didn't do anything to alter the federal government, the tax laws, that everything being said is still within the National Assembly. So whatever discrepancies is there, they should iron it out among themselves.
Exactly. I think this the issue that we're having with this the tax reform laws is the fact that it's no longer about the rates of tax or the percentages or the figures. It's now about legitimacy and trust, which can affect compliance. Nigerians just want to know, if you're taxing me, let me understand. Let everything be the same across the board. Right. I used this analogy yesterday. You have one tax officer who's trying to enforce a tax law. You have two different documents and three different interpretations. Compliance is going to be, what's it called? Compromised,
absolutely.
You know, but for me, Ibrahim, I'm one of those people that I believe in this new tax law. I don't know what, contrary to what other people are against it, I believe in it. Because for me, the only good part I love.
And the good part is that you're also going to be paying tax.
No, wait, I've been paying tax all my life.
No, you don't understand. I'm saying that you are not exempted.
No, I'm exempted.
Because you're a billionaire.
No, they said salary is under 800,000. So I'm not paying tax. But anyway, I feel like that is one of the reasons why I really love this tax reform, because it feels like it's going to be easy on the poor, just to put it that way. And I do not understand why there are some individuals that do not want this to be implemented, because it seems like in Nigeria, when something good wants to happen, there's always a force that's making sure it doesn't happen. The other time we saw what the PDP said, that 6 months, we had a guest on the show that said it won't be implemented. And the questions I want to ask is that, okay, yes, they're saying that what was brought out was not it. Let us iron it out. Let the right thing that was said be put in paper. And I feel like we should not even push it. I'm happy that the federal government under the president is saying that there's no going back. It's going to happen on the 1st of January 2026, because I feel like it would really, really help the poor. Because normally, Mr. Biodun, the people that are taking less than 600,000, 500,000, imagine them still paying tax. And right now, you're saying that if you're taking less than 800,000 naira, you are free of paying tax. I feel like, for me, that's even what stands out for me.
But certainly, everyone is still going to be paying tax, so that you're earning below 800,000 naira.
But not as much.
No, because there's value-added tax. There is 7%. Is it that's
one way or the other, you have to pay some.
Exactly. Yes. But the problem there is that people are asking the question. There is tax on the soft drink that you take. There is tax on some of the things that you buy, and then you still go ahead to pay tax on, like multiple taxation. Do you feel that this is really going to iron that out?
Well, it's one of the things the tax reforms, the new tax laws will be addressing, which is the issue of multiple taxation.
Yeah.
And part of the goal is also to streamline, our taxes to make it good for businesses, either new investors or those within the country. One of the benefits of the new tax laws that will come into effect 1st of January is that it will raise the bar, of taxation for small, medium enterprises. And these are huge employers in our country with a view not only to keep jobs, but to allow them to be profitable in a way that government is not the one taking the money, but they will have the resources to expand their businesses. And importantly, we should not forget one thing. These tax laws, before being passed into law, became so controversial that some people did not really want that tax law to be implemented. And so they've been all out, for the tax laws. Have you ever asked yourself, why Dasuki left the whole issue till very late in December before raising this issue, without specifying specifically the areas tampered with,
Because if you're a whistleblower, where is the data?
Specifically say that. What you see is insinuations, which does not bother us, on the real issues, on the real essence of that tax reform.
There were some details, to it. Some people talked about, the amount that you have to declare as a company and as an individual that the figures changed, and the Ganeshi order, which means that you will only be invited to come and explain your own side of the story.
Those were insinuations.
You will be arrested instead.
Those were insinuations aimed to discredit the new tax regime. They're seeking for extension, so they have to say some things. But you could not go and look at all the sources of information. There is no one particularly or specifically that mentioned those issues, either as a member of House of Reps or a member of the National Assembly. They are just insinuations thrown out there, to sow dissension in the minds of the people, so that there's trust.
People kick against it.
The goal is to get the tax law stop from being implemented 1st of January. You'll see what would happen. Eventually, the House of Reps have set up a committee to look into the issue.
But it seems like the federal government is not backing down on this.
And there's some laws that are actually open to interpretation. We know this law is open like that, but not something like tax laws. It requires figures, strong stances, same figures across the board.
And transparency.
Right, let's move. As well.
That's right.
And truth.
Let's move on. Blueprint newspaper: Nigeria will be secure, competitive, prosperous in 2026.
Amen to that.
I love that. You see the churchgoers.
But it's not even just all about amen. What are we doing? We need to put
now you're don't worry, it will get to it. So it's saying that 2026 budget will deepen reforms, protect lives, and then ditto to Nigeria News Direct, which is a line according to what the Minister of Information actually said, that federal government officially designates kidnappers, bandits as terrorists, as minister insists diplomatic spat with USA is resolved. So too little, too late, they would say, or better late than never.
Absolutely. The interesting thing is that this kidnapping and banditry, it's always sitting at the intersection between crime and insurgency. We always knew it was terrorism because we saw bloodshed, we saw death, we saw mass abductions. But unfortunately in Nigeria, because it was hard to classify these bandits, it sat at a very grey intersection between crime and insurgency. And so it's good that it's being classified as terrorism, but we already knew that it was that. However, this headline is very, very important for families who have suffered from loss based on kidnappings and banditry. It tells them that the government understands how serious and dire the situation is.
But the only thing that can put closure in the mind of people, especially those who have been terrified, those of us who have been terrified through kidnapping, kidnapping one's family members, etc., is to see that we take these people out of this earth. Like I'm insistent on the capital punishment for them.
Ibrahim, bam, I hit it on the table. That is exactly what should happen. Because oftentimes I say we speak, but we do not understand the implications of the people that are really going through it. As a journalist, when I'm speaking about cases like this, I'm hurt. Talk less of a person that their son or their daughter has been kidnapped. So as long as you are putting terror in the mind of anybody, you're putting fear in the mind of anybody, you are a terrorist. So even I feel like this is not something we should have a conversation about. We already know what these people are. Now we know their name. How do we crop them out? We said something about Nigeria becoming better in 2026. How can Nigeria become better? We need to work on our security. See, we're the giants of Africa. Everybody knows that. But if we're able to make sure that security is strong in Nigeria, we're able to take out these bandits. We're not paying ransom anymore. We're telling them we're not scared of you. You know, I feel like we'll stand well. Our economy is doing well, but what is just pulling us down is that insecurity. So enough of talk. We need to see the action take place.
2026 should be a greater
no more kidnapping for 2026.
It should be a better year. We're about to start on a good note.
Absolutely.
If you look at this,
when you say we're starting, I thought you're using the Chinese calendar.
You know, if you look at the significance of the decision taken by the federal government, communicated by the Minister for Information, I think it's very, very important. The reason is this: terrorism mutates. It used to be financed. One of the ways of financing terrorism was through bank robbery in the past. Now, suddenly, we've seen a decline in bank robbery, and you now see the emergence of banditry and kidnapping, you know, on a large scale. So therefore, for many people, we realize what is going on within the country, apart from terror riders, other criminals and all that, terrorism has actually mutated in Nigeria. But we failed to recognize it for a long time. Now we have decided to recognize it. The importance is this. I'll tell you the difference. Terrorism is crime. Banditry, kidnapping, crime. Now, the moment we have classified banditry and kidnapping as terrorism, what it means is the Nigerian armed forces will have a freer hand to go after these criminals. Previously, you know, kidnapping and banditry falls within the realms of criminal justice system, the Nigerian police force trying to arrest and process them. Now that it's been identified as terrorism, the military would have a free hand to go after the terrorists.
Anyway, we see what happens. We need to raise up because of time, Olamide. Let me start off with you, Olamide, on this. Talking about autonomy battle. Local governments demand direct funds as states receive 7.43 trillion naira. Talking about the Punch newspaper. And it's a good one, but the president had told the governors that I'm not against you guys, but you just need democracy to trickle down to the common man, the grassroots. Why are you delaying, you know, what's it called, the local governments to receive this money directly?
Absolutely, this is not a fight about money, regardless of this big figure, 7.4 trillion. It's a fight about power, and it's a fight about power, the power hierarchy in Nigeria. For the longest times, governors have stood as the financial gatekeepers of states, and so to hand over this power is not going to be easy. I mean, 18 months after the Supreme Court has ruled that you should hand over, how are you not constitutionally? You've been mandated to hand over these funds, and you're refusing to do that. And it begs the question: how many times has the Constitution and the law told us hand over power, do this, but it doesn't translate on the ground? The rule of law needs to come back.
We should hold the governors responsible. I'm going to bring you to another paper.
Our governors also need to understand that their hands are not clean.
You will not listen to me.
No, I needed to jump that.
Perk up.
All right then. Yeah. I know you have a whole lot to say, really. But then let's move on to this Nigeria as well as the Platform Times, saying that federal government makes drug tests mandatory for jobs, for job seekers or anyhow. Platform Times is saying no drug test, no job. Federal government tightens public service recruitment.
No, I totally agree with that. In countries like Japan, even US, even the UK, you do a drug test before you get a job. But it's unfortunate that in Nigeria, that is not a criteria. So I'm happy that we're putting that. I feel like if we do this, it will even help us to crop out the amount of, people that take drugs and the drug abuse that we get to see. People are in companies, later on, you just see how they start behaving. A lot of people, even drugging themselves during work. We've seen things like that. I'm not going to mention, but I've even seen companies that talking to the person, you can see the person's already high over there. So I think that is a law that we really need to put in place. Oftentimes we saw the NDLA doing a great job, just eradicating drugs. Our young people right about now, most of them are really dependent on drugs. And NDLA has been trying to fight this. So I feel like if we put this as a criteria, if you are looking for a job, a drug test is going to be done. And if you are found to be taking drugs, I don't even think you deserve to have a job, actually.
It's not new, actually, in the Nigerian milieu. When you talk about the federal government saying that anyone who is going for NYC should also be tested, and anyone who is also seeking a job in customs should also be tested. But do you feel this is the way to go?
Well, it's a step in the right direction in the sense that we have a drug problem. We have to acknowledge it.
That's right.
Particularly with the younger generation. So how do you deal with this except you put some barriers in place to say, look, if you do this, you will not be able to get a job. And so that would deter many of them, from embracing the drug culture. It will not totally solve the problem. What we also need to do is, which we have not been doing, is to put in complementary therapy services for drug on drug addiction. If we fail to do that, we'll only end up throwing people on the street without any help, and at the end of the day, they will become a problem for society again.
Problem for Nigeria too as
now
well.
Let's move on to the Guardian newspaper. Real estate investors wary as demolitions flatten over 2,500 houses. And this really also, not just Nigerian nation, but then the people, the Nigerians in the diaspora, and some other investors who are seeking to invest in this sector, have had their properties destroyed. You can imagine about $250 million, I've forgotten the name of this estate somewhere in Lagos, but this really happens in Lagos and Abuja, where properties are destroyed in thousands.
This is what we talk about when we talk about urban equity. And what do I mean by that? Is that every Nigerian deserves a place and a space. There should be equity with the type of place that you get to live. What we're seeing is gentrification. That is what is happening. All these real estate luxury developers, they are coming in and they are taking houses and homes from impoverished people who on their own part might not have read the law and might not have done their due diligence in terms of having their land papers and doing the right documentation. What's happening is it's elitism, if you ask me. I don't think it's commonplace that abroad, do you just see them demolishing a house somewhere? The house will just fall to the ground. Only in Nigeria, you see somebody pull up on your house with a bulldozer and bulldoze. This is gentrification. We're seeing that.
But she said it's gentrification, which we might argue does.
But what's interesting is that we're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah, but the thing is, development is also very needed in our country. So
urban planning.
Houses along the Lagos-Calabar coastal highway, we've had them demolished, and some houses are also, they didn't get a permit, so they're also speaking to government. Like, why did you issue them in the first place?
We always blame the government, but sometimes people do not even also listen. You see people building on pipelines. You know that this is a pipeline. Like, I have a lot of friends that do real estate. Some of them, they're even being told that you cannot do this. And when the government brings it down, the first thing, is the government, is the government. At the end of the day,
they make it tribal.
They just make it tribal. But at the end of the day,
this is government property that have been built on private land.
Well, let me tell you, remember what happened to Ola of Lagos? You know, he later came out to say that he was told that place. And when everybody was saying, government, he himself came out to say he was wrong. So I feel like in as much as we want to put it on the government, demolishing, let's also talk to the people as well. You know, some people are building on wrong places. Even up to now, people are building on gutters. People are building on canals. How do you expect your country to grow if you do that?
How do we separate the need for development and the need to also get people to invest in our country, inviting them to invest in our country? Because people are skeptical as to, where do I even build? I can't even build in the sky.
Oh, look, absolutely. I agree with you. People will be scared about certain things if they do not have access to the right information. For instance, you are making allusion to one case, which is the $250 million somewhere in Lekki.
Win Homes,
Win Homes, actually. I was trying to avoid mentioning the names. Just 2 or 3 days ago, I spoke to the lawyer that represented the federal government. In fact, I should simply say, AJ Wonikoko, Abiodun Jelili Wonikoko, we had a chat on these issues, and he assured me that there were no issues and it's all been dealt with.
They've been engaging with the government.
Absolutely. And in addition to that, the woman is just coming up with some other issues now because many people are coming home over the Christmas to ask for their properties. So whatever is the case, you have to comply with the laws. There are laws around building. You need permits.
That's right.
You need the government, what do they call it, control agency to be involved. If you are building more than a story or two-story building, at every stage or at every level, it has to be certified.
Absolutely.
You cannot get permit, for 5-story building and turn it into a story building. We saw the disaster that happened in the Kogi the other day. So there are a lot of violations. Don't forget, we are Nigerians. Some people think they can just do what they like and then
there'll be consequences.
Influence the process and then get away with it. But it's no more the case any longer. We need to understand the fact that do the right thing and then there'll be no problem.
We ourselves need to do better.
Absolutely. We're absolutely out of time. But then looking at what the Sporting Live actually reports, saying that Osimhen roars, Super Eagles not finished. Says we still have it in us. Okay, it remains to be seen.
I was just about to go there. We know that you have it in us, but we don't get to see it, and that for me that's the problem. I'm not a football lover because of my predictions. I now love football, so we know that
you're running an underground business.
The Super Eagles, even though we know that you have it in you, let us see it. It's not talk. Let us see it on the field.
If it's in you, let it manifest. Thank you so much for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's not time for us to take a break, but still to come. Though the lens of a renowned photographer, through the lens of a renowned photographer, Dirty December comes alive. Join us after the break as we analyze every frame that captures the joy and economic growth of the season. Just stay with us. We'll be right back.